Sanguine TV, power to transform lives.
Welcome to another week of family life with Mama Rita. Oh my God, I miss America. I miss the tea. When I came, they said they are serving me cocoa. The cocoa too is not ready. I hear the cocoa is on fire, waiting for seasoning, when tea and pepper and everything is through it before the cocoa will be ready. Oh my God, I would have been sipping my tea by now. For hosting us, Reverend Thomas and Mama, thank you so much. We had a good time with you at Connecticut, and then with Reverend Joe and Mama Betty in New York. We really had a good time. You were very, very good host. Thank you so much. I miss America already. I came. They are serving me water. The cocoa, they said the cocoa too is not ready. Look at my water. Plain water, nothing. At least add some vitamin C to it. Or serve me some glucose. I didn't get glucose. I didn't get vitamin C. The cocoa that they promised me, the cocoa is still on fire. Please, I'll come back again after Christmas for family life. But I promised my audience something, that we were going to do family life, we're going to do temperaments and sex. Unfortunately, a lot of people called me that they are actually waiting for the blends in temperaments. I think people really, really want to get to know themselves really well. And I believe that the blends will let you know yourself well. If the blends doesn't make you know yourself, then I think I need one-on-one with you, or you are not listening very well. So as much as you can, take your notebooks, take your pens, take your iPads, take your laptops, take your phones, whatever you can use to make notes. So today we are doing the 12 blends of temperaments, the 12 combinations of temperaments. Some people say 15 combinations, but well, I would say 12 combinations. We spoke about the 4 main combinations. The 4 main combinations are also called the primary temperaments. That is the choleric, the sanguine, the melancholy, and then the phlegmatic. These ones are the core ones, or the main ones, or the primary temperaments. But most people have a secondary temperament. So we can blend all the 4 to get us 12 blended or combined temperaments. So we can have choleric sanguine, that is called closan. We can have the choleric melancholy, that can be called the clomel. We can have the choleric phlegmatic, that is called the clofleg. And then we have the sanguine choleric, that is called the Sanclo. We have the sanguine-melancholy, called the Sanmel. We have the sanguine-phlegmatic, called the Sang-phleg. And the melancholy choleric, called the Melclo. The melancholy sanguine, called the Melsan. The phlegmatic, called the Mel. And the choleric, called the phlegmatic. The phlegmatic sanguine, called the Phlegsan. And then the phlegmatic melancholy, called the Mel. I can go today, but get your and ask questions. We will see. There's nothing those do that they are not loud. They are so loud in they are noticed. They entered and close the type of people that are never in one. That always friends around them. I don't know the time that I lived. I got married. I had people around me. I mean, I've always been people's person. At that time, I didn't even know about. I mean, my husband have never lived alone. Know who I am. Although they are very expressive, lively, and highly spirited, loud, they are happy. Combination put debates for a short commercial. The community I grew up in impacted stubborn fearlessness in me. I grew up as an outspoken child and was often regarded as loud, naughty, arrogant, and rowdy. I was misunderstood and considered very difficult to deal with because I always stated my stance, objected to opposing views, and strongly defended what I believed in.
This is my story. It's an autobiographical account of the life of Reverend Mrs. Rita Ankra. It takes us through an intimate journey of her life in a small fishing community, Accra, Ghana, to the global stage of ministry where lives are transformed through the redemptive grace of God operating through His handmaiden. Get your copies now and be inspired. Order online on iBookstore, Amazon, and Barnes & Noble, royalhousechapel.org. or visit any major bookstore near you. For further inquiry, contact the Royal House Chapel office at Obechabi Lamte Interchange, Accra, or call 0302 221255. In times of crisis and in times of challenges, in times of difficulties, one thing that prevails is the word of the Lord. Hear ye the word of the Lord. When the word of God comes in power, in times of difficulties and challenges, we need the prophetic anointing. We need the prophetic revelation and come into the situation. This was how Elijah, Elisha, and the prophets of old handled the challenges and the difficulties of their times. This time, it is a pandemic of financial nature. It is an economic pandemic. And this time, we are grappling with difficulties and challenges and how to hold our families together, how to hold the economies of the nations together. One more time, God has anointed His servant, the Apostle General Sam Crunchy Ankra, to bring you the revelation of the prophetic word, the revelation of the prophetic power, and the revelation of the prophetic anointing. This is what you need as we approach the last weeks of the year 2022.
At the mention of your name, every knee shall bow, every throne of men, kingdoms of men, powers of darkness, principalities, satanic authority, the dragon spirit shall bow at the mention of your name.
Make a time and a date with God's servant at the Oil Dome this and every Friday at Miracle Service at 6 p.m. and every Sunday morning service at 8 a.m. Get ready. 31st night will be your day of Passover. For the Egyptians that you see today, you see them again no more. That saith the Lord.
Hello, my loyal viewers of Family Life with Mama Rita. I promised you something special, and people have been worrying me and calling about that topic. Get ready. The month of October, November, and December, we are treating temperaments and love languages. Temperaments, love languages. If you do not know your temperament yet, get ready. If you don't know the temperament of your spouse or your children, get ready. Maybe out of the temperaments, you would even know the best job for you to do. We will look at all these ones. So temperaments, love languages will come on your screen the month of October, the month of November, and the month of December. And all your questions we haven't answered, I will make sure that we will answer them before we close the session for this year. Thank you. God bless you. I will see you. Family life, building stable and happy homes. The community I grew up in impacted stubborn fearlessness in me. I grew up as an outspoken child and was often regarded as loud, naughty, arrogant, and rowdy. I was misunderstood and considered very difficult to deal with because I always stated my stance, objected to opposing views, and strongly defended what I believed in.
This is my story. It's an autobiographical account of the life of Reverend Mrs. Rita Ankra. It takes us through an intimate journey of her life in a small fishing community, Accra, Ghana, to the global stage of ministry where lives are transformed through the redemptive grace of God operating through His handmaiden. Get your copies now and be inspired. Order online on iBookstore, Amazon, and Barnes & Noble, royalhousechapel.org. or visit any major bookstore near you. For further inquiry, contact the Royal House Chapel office at Obechabi Lamte Interchange, Accra, or call 0302 221255.
Welcome back, and I sincerely apologize for the break. I think we had a few issues. I don't know where you heard, what you heard and what you didn't hear, but if there's anything you didn't hear, please, you can send me a message and I will go back to it. So what I said was, when the sun-closed natural tendencies are combined, it produces a people's person who is goal-oriented. Sun-closed are the type of people that are never in want of friends around them. Although they are very expressive, lively, fun-loving, highly spirited individuals who love to pass on their happy and fun-loving spirit to others, they often talk too much and expose all their weaknesses. They are the most charismatic and expressive personality of all the blends. They often express a very shallow, quick, and explosive anger whenever their feelings or emotion is taken for granted or undermined. However, Sanclos are the best to be close to whenever you feel bored or depressed, or when you are not happy, or you are going through issues, because they will lift you up, they will lift your spirit up with their conversation, with their counseling, with their encouragement, with their storytelling, with their jokes. They will lift you up and you would find yourself smiling. The Sanclo combination makes a very good salesperson or marketer. They are enthusiastic more than the other sanguines. They get very excited. The Sanclo is an assertive and energetic persons who work well through people and naturally seek positions of leadership. They are very persuasive and make good debaters. They have an ability to gain the respect and confidence of various types of individuals. They are able to coordinate events, and they are willing to delegate responsibilities. The Sanclo is more organized, productive, and decisive than the pure sanguine. So that is why when people say that sanguines are very disorganized, I sort of disagree, but I realize that my secondary temperament makes me very organized. They exhibit graceful, elegant, and confidence in most situations, especially social events. They will become bored without activity and social involvement. So we would say that the Sanclo is a marketer, is a negotiator, or is a salesperson. So now we go to the sanguine and melancholy, and we call them the sun-males. The sun-male is a very loving, friendly, and emotional person. Please let your questions flow. Mark yourself and know yourself today. They are friendly and emotional people who do not like to see people in pain. They could abandon everything they are doing to cater the needs of people in pain. They will encourage and lift them up with their seasoned and gracious words. Sun-male easily let go and forgives those who hurt them without bearing any grudge against them. And I can testify this about the sun-males. If they must react, then they will react immediately. Otherwise, forget it. They will never ask about it again. They are sociable persons who love to relate to everyone. Their sense of humor, oh my God, with their analytical and warm speeches, make people love to be friends with them. And I hope somebody is getting to know himself very well. I won't mention names, but when they come, I will mention it. The happy and free-spirited nature of the sanguine often stabilizes the melancholy tendency towards being moody. When the sanguine and the melancholy natural tendencies are combined, it produces a people's person who is sensitive, creative, and detail-oriented. The sun-male is more formal and emotional than the other sanguine blends. This combination is naturally able to perform in front of others to meet the need of the moment. The sun-male needs to be with people most of the time, but some of the time they need to be alone. When they are alone, they will likely think, review, plan, and be creative. They need a lot of information and time and plan to be able to function. The sun male has a deep need to know that they will be accepted by others. They always like to be accepted, and they always want to feel that they are accepted. They always want to know that they are accepted by people. They are very well organized. Being organized doesn't mean that you are very neat. Being organized means that knowing where anything is. I'm talking to somebody. The person is on the flight. I'm sure by now he has arrived. They can do things to an extreme. The sun male tends to warm up slowly to new people because they are unsure of how they are being received. Once they feel safe or accepted, they become more friendly. The sun male has a very active, vivid imagination, causing them to be creative in many areas like music, the performing arts, writing, decoration, problem solving. They tend to be very image conscious and actively seek recognition for their achievements. There's a place I left out. There's a place I left out. There's a place I left out. I'll come back to it. There's a place I left out. The sun males don't sleep very well. They don't, They often have difficulty going to sleep because they are thinking too much, reviewing things, planning, fretting, or creating things in their minds. So this is the sun male. Mama Rabba, I hope you are seeing Reverend Charles inside. The relator. So the sun males are normally the performers. They can easily perform to any kind of person, ask them to do anything at any point. They are never shy to do it. They won't have to think to do anything. The relator, that is the sanguine-phlegmatic. When the sanguine and the phlegmatic natural tendencies are combined, it produces a people's person who is accommodating to the needs of others. They are more relationship-oriented and consistent than the other sanguine combinations. This combination naturally relates well to others, and they maintain lasting relationships. That is the sang-phleg. The sang-phleg needs to be with people most of the time, but some of the time they need to be alone. When alone, they will likely rest or sleep. They often become drowsy when sitting still after only a few minutes. When you watch television with them, they are gone. They are independent-minded and can be very stubborn. Once they establish a routine, it can be difficult for them to change. They are very trusting of others and place importance on enduring relationships. It is not unusual for them to keep relationships they formed since their kindergarten days. Throughout their lifespan, they are loyal to their friends. They are optimistic and full of hope. Most sang-phlegs will smile easily and often. They have a calming, friendly, accepting presence. They are disarming with their warm, empathic, and understanding approach. They possess a casual kind. I missed something. People tend to seek them out to share their problems because they are perceived to be approachable and good listeners. Children are easily drawn to them because they feel accepted in their presence. Although doing details and organizational things give them difficulty at times, they are able to do them quite well. They can be great administrators. The Sanguine-phlegmatics work very well with others because they are optimistic, accepting, and accommodating. Although not easily prone to anger and aggression, but Sanguine-phlegmatics could bear some negative thoughts and ill feelings about others, which I know, which could also make them keep their distance from them. I know them so well. I don't want to mention names. However, Sanguine-phlegmatics are outwardly nice and kind individuals, showing so much good traits and empathy. But more often than not, that's most things just to be seen by people and to also get their love and accolades. Let me see if I can do the choleric blend very fast, and then we could go to the discussion and then the Ask Mama Rita. The choleric sanguine. So far, I hope that you are getting to know people very well. Sanclo, that is the sanguine choleric, is me. And my daughter Nadromo. We are very, very good marketers, negotiators, and then salespeople. For the sanguine-melancholy, that's the sun mill, the performance. I really see Reverend Charles there. The sanguine-phlegmatic, they relate very well with people. I see Reverend Darky there. I know he would argue, but that is him. And then now we go to the choleric sanguine. They are called the closan. They are the executive people. They are the second strongest extroverts among the blends of temperaments. Closans are very extremely assertive and domineering. I hope somebody is seeing himself there. In all their relationships, they often act like they are the boss, even when they are not the boss. I went to a health shop to buy, vitamins when we were in America. So I was telling the lady there, oh, my husband also came here yesterday. He said, oh, is that the gentleman I called the taxi for? I said, yes. He said when he came and I offered him the seat, he sat down like he's the boss of this company. I said, you know him very well. They naturally like being the leaders and often an executive. Their personality makes them easily noticed. I mean, you can notice a closan everywhere they go to. The closan has a natural drive to quickly get results. They are goal-oriented and can be very persuasive in promoting their ideas and goals. They are easily annoyed when others do not comply with their instructions and direction. I'm speaking to some people. They are impatient and will push others to obtain results and be productive. They have boundless energy, so they need lots of activities. People like that require little sleep. They can sleep 4-6 hours and they are fine. They dislike details or doing tedious work. However, they see the importance of details and can easily delegate that to others. Although they do not talk too much like the sang close, we like it, that we talk too much. But their speeches are very weighty and take it more seriously, which is very true. They are never interested in noticing you or being mindful of what you think or feel about them. They don't look at anybody. They mind their business. They don't care what you are doing. They stay in their corner and do what they have to do. They simply live their lives like you are not existing. Closans do not bother so much about keeping friends, except you've got something they are interested in, since they often feel very confident about themselves. They are really emotional people, but because of the little sanguine trace in them, they could have some deep emotional feelings towards you, which could also evaporate the moment they perceive any kind of unserious attitude towards them. And you are talking about the Apostle General of Royal House Chapel. Please don't tell him I said this. Even if he's watching, I haven't said anything. So we would say these people are the executives. Then the other form of choleric is the choleric-melancholy blend. We call them the chlomel. The chlomel is more detail-oriented and sensitive than the other choleric combinations. This combination naturally likes developing a strategy to accomplish a goal. The chlomel is a result-oriented, detailed person who is not interested in social involvement. They are driven by a strong will to achieve their detailed plan. They can be direct, blunt, and forceful, yet at times shows great sensitivity towards others. They can be both domineering and compassionate. We will call them the lion and the lamb blend. They can be lions at certain points, and they can be like lambs at certain points. Chlomel are very unemotional people who do not care about anything or anyone else other than achieving their goals. No other temperament can be more prone to anger, hostility, aggressiveness than the chlomel. Do not try to engage them in arguments, my darling, unless you are sure of your facts. They will beat you in an argument. They will make you small with their verbal aggression and attention to details. So if you are not ready, please, if you don't have your facts, you don't have all your facts, don't go into an argument with a chlomel. Chlomel are very disciplined, decisive, and determined individuals. There's absolutely nothing these individuals want to achieve that they cannot achieve. They combine both the practicality and productivity of the cholerics with the intelligent and analytical mind of the melancholy. They are obviously not much crazy about keeping friends because they are very self-confident personalities who believe that they are very competent and capable enough to get things done themselves. And obviously they are. The choleric-melancholy likes to solve problems and make decisions, and are actually quite capable of doing so. They can usually see a creative solution quickly with only a small amount of information. When committed to accomplishing a goal, they are insightful and creative. They function best when they collect facts and have a me time, alone time to think and develop a plan of action. In the process of developing their plan, they will ask direct and detailed questions. I think I will do the last one of the choleric, and then we will have a commercial break and we will go to the discussion and ask Mama Rita. The choleric-phlegmatic is this combination. We call them the directors. Choleric phlegs are the most subdued of all temperament combination of the extrovert category. So you know who the extroverts are. The extroverts are the sanguines and the cholerics. And with the combinations, they are the least subdued ones. The hot, quick, active, decisive, and determined traits of the choleric combined with the calm, gentle, and organized nature of the phlegmatic obviously makes the phlegs to be balanced in their lifestyles. The phleg is more individualistic and unyielding than the other choleric combinations. This combination is like a director because they naturally like telling others what to do. Those phlegs, they stick to what they believe in. And I hope somebody's seeing herself. The phleg is naturally a result-oriented, determined, unemotional, and focused individual. They have a strong, stubborn will, and they are independent and very individualistic. They are not open, friendly, lively, or talkative. They slowly build a few close relationships and will help only those they consider to be their friend. They are confident and may appear not friendly. They want to be in charge because of their confidence in their ability to make better decisions. They think that they are always the best when it comes to taking decisions. They can be very direct, brief, and blunt when answering questions. When you ask them questions, they will either answer in their throat. They tend to be impatient, especially when instructing others. They dislike weakness in others. They hate to see people's weaknesses. They appear to be very balanced and organized in all things. And the choleric-phlegmatic. I am seeing Joshuana Mawena Crunchy Ankara. I'm in trouble for mentioning her name, but I have. She's a typical phleg. We will go on a short commercial break and we'll be back.
righteous. Any plan of the devil against the church of Christ, the body of Christ, and any persons he is anointing to disturb the peace of this nation. Clap your hands and say, it will not prevail.
The annual Global Festival of Prayer is here again, a time to engage in intense prayer and warfare ahead of the new year. It's Week of the Altar 2023. Join the Apostle General Sam Crunchy-Ankra as he leads 21 days of fasting and prayer with prophetic directions under the theme, The Blood Will Speak. Date from 9th to the 29th of January 2023, and the time is 5:30 p.m. on weeknights and 8 a.m. on Sundays. Venue, Oil Dome near Obechebilamte Interchange. Services will also be live on Facebook, YouTube and Powerline TV. Week of the Altar 2023. Come and experience prayer, power, praise, presence and the prophetic. The blood will speak. In times of crisis and in times of challenges, in times of difficulties, one thing that prevails is the word of the Lord. Hear ye the word of the Lord. When the word of God comes in power, in times of difficulties and challenges, we need the prophetic anointing. We need the prophetic revelation, and we need the prophetic power to come into the situation. This was how Elijah, Elisha and the prophets of old handled the challenges and the difficulties of their times. This time, it is a pandemic of financial nature. It is an economic pandemic. And this time, we are grappling with difficulties and challenges and how to hold our families together, how to hold the economies of the nations together. One more time, God has anointed his servant, the Apostle General Sam Crunchy-Ankra, to bring you the revelation of the prophetic word, the revelation of the prophetic power, and the revelation of the prophetic anointing. This is what you need as we approach the last weeks of the year 2022.
At the mention of your name, every knee shall bow, every throne of men, kingdoms of men, powers of darkness, principalities, satanic authority, the dragon spirit shall bow at the mention of your name.
Make a time and a date with God's servant at the Oil Dome this and every Friday at Miracle Service at 6 p.m. and every Sunday morning service at 8 a.m. Get ready. 31st night will be your day of Passover. For the Egyptians that you see today, you see them again no more. That saith the Lord.
Welcome back to Family Life with Mama Rita. I apologize again for the initial break. If you are just joining us, we are doing the 12 blends of temperaments. We spoke about the four basic ones, the four main ones, the four primary ones that are choleric, sanguine, melancholy, and phlegmatic. And aside the primary ones, we also have secondary. Almost everyone has a secondary temperament. Sometimes when it's very difficult for you to find yourself in the primary temperaments, you can find yourself very well in the secondary temperaments. And in the secondary temperaments, we have the closan, the clomel, the clofleg, the sanclo, the sangfleg, the melclo, the melsang, and the melfleg. And then we have the phlegclo, the phlegsan, and the phlegmel. Today, we did the choleric and then the sanguine blends. I'm hoping we will do the other blends next week. And if you also just joined in us, I apologize for not doing temperament and sex. So many people sent me messages that I keep referring to the blends of the temperaments, and they really, really want to know they are blends. So I was forced to do this. If I'm not able to do the sex and temperaments before the year ends, we will certainly do it the first part of next year when we come on. So for those of you that have done your temperaments, I hope that now you know yourself very well. If you still don't, you can send us messages and I will tell you who you are. With me today is a couple that you know, you have seen them here before. I don't know if they've been here once or twice, but the Reverend and Mrs. Callistus Agbeke. Reverend and Mrs. Callistus Agbeke are the senior pastors of Possibility Center, Zenu, somewhere in the Tema Ashiaman area. You are welcome.
Thank you so much.
Mrs. Agbeke, from today I make you a deacon. I make you a lady deacon. How can you not be a lady deacon doing everything in the church? You are welcome.
Thank you, Mommy.
I can't wait to hear you.
Glad to be here.
What I ask my couples that come all the time, do you know your temperaments? Because I realize that some people do counseling, they teach on temperaments, yet they themselves do not know their temperaments. And I don't know how you can teach temperaments effectively when you don't know your own temperaments. It means that you don't know yourself. And if you don't know yourself, how do you help others to discover themselves? So first, do you know your temperaments?
Yes, ma.
What is your temperament?
I am predominant a sanguine.
A sanguine?
Yes. And from the teaching, I'm a sun male.
A sun male,
Yes,
okay. So now that we are talking about combinations, I think you can mention both the primary and then the secondary one. So you are a sun male.
Yes.
Yes.
So-
Mama Marian.
Mommy. So I am predominantly a melancholic, and then a bit of phlegmatic.
A bit of phlegmatic.
Yes, but for some time now, considering the workspace that I am in, recently I was doing temperaments with the church,
Okay.
and I realized that there's a little bit of choleric coming in there, but dominantly male phleg.
Okay. So this is what I always tell people. I have gone places that I have thought about temperaments, and I have asked them, what do you think I am? And everybody says, I'm a choleric. And I think they mention choleric because of the job I do and the position I occupy. So they see more of the choleric than seeing me as a sanguine. Number two, I think that I've worked on myself so well that they don't see the negatives of the sanguine. I remember one time somebody came to me and said, oh, Mama Rita, I really want to be like you. I like the way you are so composed and you don't talk much, especially when we go for a meeting and you are with Apostle General, you don't talk at all until the Apostle General will say, do you have something to say? And I really want to be like you. I said, thank God that today I have worked on my temperament so well that my negative side, so this is what happens because of the kind of environment we find ourselves. We see some traces coming in. And like I always teach people, leadership can be learned.
Yes.
You learn leadership. Some people are born leaders and some people learn leadership. So I believe that you are one of those that have learned leadership. So sometimes you see a bit of choleric coming in, but that doesn't make you a choleric. It's because of the environment you find yourself and the work you do.
Yes, Mommy.
So how have you been able to cope with each other's temperaments?
Okay, so
Hey! Male phleg.
So I think that naturally everybody is born, like we said, you taught us, everybody is born with a temperament. But this secondary one can also come up as a result of nurturing what you do, exposure and other things. So who took care of you can bring that up in you. Where you schooled, the kind of environment, all this all play a role. So when it comes up in marriage, the person you are married to would definitely have an effect on you. I always thought I was a Sanklo.
Okay.
Yes, I always thought I was until this evening. And then I thought I was rather learning the melancholy from her.
Okay.
Yes. So I thought I was learning the melancholy from her. Maybe I've actually learned so well from her that it is taking over. But because of where you are and the space you are in, your marriage can also now nurture you and different. But your dominance temperament will not be lost. So the sanguine will still be there. But the secondary ones will be influenced as you go on. Yeah.
Mama Marian, how have you been able to deal with your temperament?
So I would say that this evening my eye has been open to something because as we were coming, I was trying to get his combination and I thought he was Sanguine-phlegmatic.
Okay.
Yes, because of some traits. Initially I thought he was Sanklo, but I saw some traits and I thought he was Sanguine-phlegmatic. But now I know that he's Sun-male. And I was beginning to get worried about the melancholic part because lately I've been telling him he has a mood at certain times and I don't expect that from him. So I thought there was something he was sinking in. But now I understand that it's this is the melancholic part of him that's at play. And but so far, I think we understood it from the very beginning. So we were able to balance. He's quite patient with me. And then when it comes to his sanguine side, he understands that I'm a check on him. So that kind of balance has always been there.
So how do you check him with his typical sanguine?
His typical sanguine. So when we are out and he
wants to talk too much.
He wants to talk too much.
He wants to be himself.
So we came up with this code. I usually tell him we are getting too excited. So when I say that, he knows that, okay, let me relax. And then he controls what he's saying, what he's doing and everything. So basically, that has been it.
I think I'll bring you on when I decide to talk about sex and then temperaments. I'll really bring you on. Typical sanguines don't joke with their sex life, with their sex.
True.
And how you were able, to control yourself the first 2 years of the issues you had. We won't go into it now, but unless you want to talk about it. But when we talk about sex and temperament, I think I'll bring you on again.
Yes,
Your husband has really done well with his temperament and the way he's controlled himself. Most sanguines, if they are not properly born again, will go out. And satisfy themselves out. So I give him a plus. We will go straight away to ask Mama Rita. I know there are a lot of questions from last 2 weeks, from last week, and then the questions coming in. Like I said, please don't wait till 5 minutes to time before you start bringing in your questions. And then through the temperaments, if you have known yourself very well, you can send us messages to let us know you now know what your temperament is and why you think that you are this particular temperament, just to confirm things to us. My co-host, is my cocoa coming?
Oh, the cocoa. We've now seen the winter. We are just adding small salt, and then we'll do the combination. Because currently the cocoa is looking sanguine. We want to add a little flavor.
The cocoa is looking sanguine. We want to add a little flavor.
So we'll control the temperature. So you'll be sorted.
I'm sure by the time the cocoa is ready, we would have finished. If I was in America, I'll be sipping some tea by now.
Don't marry America. Just 2 episodes. No, you change the whole thing. 2 episodes. Don't worry, the next time you come, there will be a fridge on the show. All right, this is Family Life Series. We're excited to have you once again. Keep your questions and your comments coming through. +233 200 515253. You can also use the hashtag across all media platforms Ask Mama Rita, hashtag Ask Mama Rita, AskMamarita. So all over, please keep your comments coming through. We have a lot of them from previous episodes and also today as well. We are going to touch on as many as time will permit, but like Mommy has said, definitely your questions at some point are going to be addressed. Elma P, I'm grateful for this shirt. Please check Elma P out across all media platforms. Use the name Elmat, P-E-L-M-A-R-T-E-E clothing, and you have them on Facebook, on Instagram, and make your orders. They deliver all across the globe. The first question, Mommy, an interesting one.
Wow.
Good evening, Mama Rita.
Good evening.
My husband is a typical phlegmatic.
Wow.
100%, I think. And my worry, he wants to name our firstborn after him. Please, wouldn't this affect the child?
Oh my God. It means that you have a serious issue with your husband's leg. Reverend Callisto's and Mama
Yes.
Marian.
Yes.
So I think temperament will not be transferred spiritually or by name. It is rather transferred by nurturing. So if there's going to be any influence, it means that the child is going to pick up from how the child is groomed in the house. And fortunately for this lady, the husband is not the only person parenting the child. But if you are not spending a lot of time in the house and with the child, then I was advised that if you don't want the phlegmatic to dominate, then you will also have to be around to, be an active parent in the room.
So like my husband said, I also believe the same thing, that it cannot be transferred by name, definitely, but by nurturing. And from all that we have learned, I believe that the child will be born with their own temperament and their own nature. So the nurturing will only influence, but it's not going to entirely change the child or make the child like the father.
Well spoken. So my darling, when it comes to temperaments is an inborn thing, and it's something we get from our parents and grandparents. So it's possible the child can take your husband's temperament. It's an inborn thing, or your temperament, or his grandparents. Could be 4 of his grandparents. So we don't know which of it. But then we always teach that when it comes to the negatives of the temperament, you can always work on the child, train the child. So please give your husband the honors of naming his son after him. That will not change his temperament in any way.
All right, but peradventure, if the child turns out to be a phlegmatic, don't blame your husband. Don't blame her. All right, our next comment says, good evening, Mama Rita.
Good evening.
I have actually been transformed by the gift of your undiluted teaching and counseling on this particular topic.
Thank you.
I'm in a relationship with a young lady. Mommy, she doesn't obey instructions. Who is giving her instructions? She does things anyhow, buy things that are not planned for at all, very slow in doing things and taking decisions. I am a perfect choleric and a realist. Please, Mommy, what can I do to get along with this lady? Kindly help. This is coming from Newton in Trifle, Prasna.
That sounds like a sanguine. With this, I think you should take it.
So I think that one thing we should understand is that most often, if your relationship or your love life is directed by God or by the Spirit of God, then God will always guide you into a certain relationship where the excesses of your temperament will be controlled by the excesses of the other.
I like that.
So my temperament as a sanguine, I can go all over. I can buy anything I can do. I don't plan.
Yeah.
I plan for today and I'm fine.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, nyame Then I marry a melancholy who says...
Who plans
Yes.
everything, plans a
And
week.
from today.
And for me, at the point, I felt it was a fight.
Yeah.
I felt I was being oppressed. I was
Yeah.
being, and a sanguine and a male, you
Yeah.
cannot take that.
Yeah.
So there was always frictions. But as you grow
Yeah.
and you meet other couples,
Yeah.
like the kind of friends I have around me,
Yeah.
Pastor Chiva and Pastor Papa Dems, when you relate to them, you learn that you get to understand that, okay, this was what my wife was trying to tell me.
Yeah.
Maybe the language wasn't what you expected, but when you see other people's relationship, you can tell that this is what, and then you. So, number one, don't think it as entirely negative.
Okay.
Maybe you are also being excessive.
Yeah.
If you can handle both of them
Yeah.
very well, you will realize that you'll be a good check on her,
Yeah.
and she will also be a good check on you.
So, my darling, you are a typical choleric. You must know that cholerics are bossy, cholerics are domineering, cholerics like to give instructions. Everything about them is giving instructions.
Yeah.
I always remember when my husband went to Holland. Oh my God. He would only at the end write, I love you. But the whole letter is instructions. Give the children give them eggs 3 times a week. Add ice cream when they finish eating. I'm sending you, instructions. So this is your life.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you said you are married to somebody who doesn't listen.
Dating.
She doesn't listen to instructions. Unfortunately, if your wife is a sanguine, sanguines don't like to be bossed around.
Yeah.
All you need to do is to show your wife leadership. Reason with her. Reason with her why she needs to take instructions. Reason with her why she has to do A, B, C, D. Once you reason with her and she sees your leadership and you are patient with her and you are not shouting and screaming, she will listen to you. Unfortunately enough, sanguines are not afraid of anything. Sanguines are not afraid of their fathers. They are not afraid of their headmasters.
Yeah.
They are not afraid of their husbands. They are not they are not afraid of anything. The one that everybody is afraid to, go to, sanguines are able to go to them. So yes, sanguines like to buy. So you are saying that your wife likes to buy, and then what? Doesn't listen to instructions.
Very
Unplanned.
do things unplanned.
And then she doesn't plan. That is the typical sanguine for you. So please have a meeting, be gentle, show her leadership. Don't be too bossy and domineering. Once you are not bossy and you are not, domineering, and you reason with her, she will understand why she shouldn't just buy. Unfortunately, that is the typical sanguine. They are happy when they are buying. Sometimes they don't need the thing. All they like to hear is that there's sales going on there.
Black Friday.
There's Black Friday. They are going, they are queuing. They are going to shop. What are they going to buy? They don't know. They are moving from shop to shop. Whether something will call their name.
Yeah.
Once the thing calls their name, they will buy. So that is a typical sanguine for you. But then if you make them understand, we have a project. We are paying school fees. The building project, this. So I think that you need to calm down with your spending. She would understand. But please, tomorrow when you finish the project, you must know that she will buy.
Yeah.
As for that one, nothing will stop her. So, like Reverend Callisto said, when it comes to temperaments, God gives you somebody to help you with your negatives, and then you also help the person with your negatives. You're a very, very organized person, so help her organize her life and organize the home.
If I can touch
Yeah,
a little
you
on
can.
it. So I think we all need to also understand that we shouldn't set out trying to change people.
Yeah.
we should set out to influence them.
Okay.
So if I don't know if the chemist or whatever, they say energy cannot be created nor destroyed. So what you do is that you channel that energy. She spends a lot. So like Mami said, if you sit down and you discuss with her and you say, we have a project, then you are channeling her energy of buying a lot towards buying into the project. She will not stop buying, but you are channeling that energy into buying specific things towards specific projects, so that she would also feel a part of the project. In the end, you will all be happy. So don't set out trying to change people. So when Mami says have a meeting, it's not that when we talk, no. Sometimes it will take years.
It will take time.
A lot of years, and you have to have that patience too.
All right. We move to the next. Says, hi, Mama Rita.
Hi.
I really love your show since discovering it. I am someone who thinks positive of everyone, but easily feel so bad when I sense I'm not being appreciated. I like going out a lot, but I'm married to one who doesn't like going out with me. Strangely, he does with friends. When he gets money, he thinks of himself largely. We've been married for 3 years. Mommy, no outing, no gifts, no support, not even for my school fees. I am older than he is, and he's always using this against me also. My heart is bleeding. How do I deal with this situation?
Mama Marian.
Yes, Mommy. So,
okay. Okay, let me leave you to.
Okay. So for the fact that the person actually goes out, but is not taking you out, I'll use my husband and I as an example. So he is a typical sanguine-melancholic.
Yeah.
So I have what I like, he has what he likes. Very different, very opposite. But right from the time of dating, I had to, because he is the man and I am the woman, I had to bring myself to show interest in what he likes.
I like that.
And then in doing that, he also started to pay more attention to me and to what I also like. So I think probably you should pay attention to what the person is interested in, and then take part in what the person is interested in. And with time, they will also come now, give you the attention and know exactly what you want.
Okay.
So to go on with what you said, the human nature is naturally natural. When left without any control, any nurturing, without the Holy Spirit, is selfish. And we always want what we want. So in the marriage or in the relationship, when one party comes to realize that you are being taken for granted, and the other person is being selfish, you are also looking at it from a selfish lens. So the first thing to do is to start being interested in the other parties. So if he likes going out and not with you, then it means that there's something he's enjoying with other people that is not enjoying with you. So you would have to have patience and then steady him and find out, because all things being equal, you just don't want to be right. You want to be happy. And in pursuit of happiness, you have to make a lot of sacrifices. And that is what you should look at doing. So even though your heart is bleeding, you must literally go to the point of death, i.e. dying for the relationship. So the pain must be excruciating, but you must have an end game where you know that after finding out what he wants, this is what I'm going to do to let him or cause him to also like what I want. Eventually, people always, when you show interest in people's matters, they would naturally start showing interest in you, because naturally, again, people don't want to owe people. So if you are doing this for me, then I also want to do this back or show appreciation. So if you show more interest in his and sacrifice yourself, the more, you will realize that he will start coming back and settling for you.
Well spoken. So, my darling, I think you heard it. Marriage is a give and take affair. From the way you spoke, it means that you should be a typical sanguine. Sanguine loves to have fun. They love to go out, you know. They love to be in the company of people. I wouldn't say your husband is not a sanguine. I don't know him too well because you didn't describe him. But then he goes out with people. So it means that the two of you don't enjoy the same things. So get to know him, like Reverend and Mrs. Agbeke said, get to know him. Get to know the things he likes. Bring yourself to liking the things he likes. If you bring yourself to liking the things he likes, he will now decide to go out with you. Number two, it's also possible that when the two of you meet, it's all arguments, quarrels, and fights. Who wants to always go out with somebody for a public show? You know, so that everybody knows that, oh, this marriage, there are issues inside. I was telling somebody, if you want your husband to go out with you, to travel with you, then stop the fights. So get to know him, like the things he likes. Once you like the things he likes and he's going out, he will go out with you. And you mentioned something about age. He said they've been married for how many years?
3 years.
3 years. So I don't know why the man should have a problem with your age, especially if he knew your age before he married you. If he knew your age before he married you, I don't know why the age should be a quarreling factor now, unless he thinks that you throw the age in his face. You make him feel like you are the boss. So then you feel like you are older. So if you are older, then, so maybe this is where the problem is. I'm not sure you went through counseling. If the two of you belong to a church and your pastor is a mature person, see your pastor, or get a very good counselor, see him, and iron some of these teething issues. These are teething issues that should be settled, you know, within 3 years in marriage. So get to know him, like the things he likes, and then he will start having fun with you. And then go for counseling, let them talk about these basic issues like you know, age. I believe he knew your age before he married you. He still accepted you and decided to marry you, unless there was something, there's something about this age thing, or you like to be the boss in the home, you like to be the head, you don't give him his due respect. And every man, whether ego, doesn't matter, it doesn't matter the age, it doesn't matter the temperament, have an amount of ego. If you don't give the man the respect, there would always be issues.
Yeah.
All right, a few complimentary messages coming from Sierra Leone. Eustacia Rene Thomas says, I'm watching live from Sierra Leone. I love you, Mama Rita. God bless you and your team of counselors. Powerful station.
Thank you.
Lizzie Pra says, congratulations, Reverend and Mrs. Agbeke.
Wow.
Happy to hear your voices.
Wow.
Philip Menu also says, I wish I knew this teaching very early in my marriage. I am really learning a lot. Mary Gorthy from Kumasi says, good evening, Mama Rita. God bless you. It's always a joy to see you on our screens.
Thank you.
And Auntie Sisi from Sunyani says, Afisha Pa, sweet mommy.
I think about it.
Says, Reverend and Mrs. Kafui, I salute you. Are you siblings or just a couple?
Wow.
He says you look so alike.
Wow. That's true, eh? That's true. You are looking alike now. Very, very alike.
There's a lot of work ongoing.
There's a lot of work going on.
Channeling energies.
From Chris, New York. From Chris, New York. He said, I'm watching on the road. He's traveling and watching at the same time. I honestly don't know my temperament. I see a bit of everything in me. Ma, you know me so very well. Please, who am I? Chris, go on the internet, Google temperaments or checking temperaments.
Or you can use temperamentquiz.com.
Or temperamentsquiz.com. go on it. It will ask you a few questions, answer them, and then score yourself. After you've done it, send me a message, call me, let me know what you got, and then now we can discuss. That is, if you know yourself very well, I would want you to go on the internet. There are so many forms out there that you can use to check what your temperament is. It will ask you a few questions about yourself. If you know yourself very well, you should be able to answer. After you are done, it will show you how to score yourself, and then it will tell you what your temperament is. And then after then, we will discuss, and then you know yourself.
All right.
Another person who can also help you will be your wife. Your wife can also help you. That is, if your wife knows about temperaments, can help you. But when I'm done off the screen, we can talk, and then I'll show you what your temperaments are.
Yeah. And try to avoid the role model tendency where while answering the questions, you answer them because of somebody's traits that you want to see in yourself. Please, you are not a person. Find out who you are. All right. This one says, hi, Mama Rita.
Hi.
Good evening. I'm watching from Sunyane.
Wow.
Please, my husband doesn't like talking at all. Sometimes caring, but very stingy. What temperament is this?
So if your husband doesn't talk, he could either be, his primary temperament can be a phleg, or his primary temperament can be a melancholy. Melancholies are very organized, and they organize their monies very well. So it makes them feel very stingy. And then phlegmatics also, when it comes to money, they are very calculative with their money. So you didn't say much, but your husband could either be a melancholy or could be a phleg. But tell us more about your husband and less. But if he doesn't talk at all, he's either a melancholy or a phleg. And he's stingy. Both melancholies and phlegmatics, you know, unless they really want to spend. But my son, Papa, doesn't spend by heart. Since he's been a kid, his money is, we always tell him he's stingy. Everybody travels and tries to bring things for their siblings. Pastor Papa will travel and not even ask you what you want. I wonder what Jacqueline is going through, my in-law is going through, but they calculate everything to be able to give you money to shop. And unfortunately, phlegmatics are like that. Reverend Thomas is always saving for the church. When you ask him money for Shiloh, he will tell you his church building. So both phlegs and melancholies are like that. So tell us more, and I'll be able to tell you who your husband is. Pardon?
She also mentioned caring.
That
the husband is very caring.
The husband is caring. Phlegmatics are caring. Phlegs are very caring people, very, very accommodative, very loyal people. So it's possible your husband is a typical phleg. A phleg can be at home and you even know they are at home. Unless you go looking for them, they'll never come looking for you. Everybody, when they come home, they check our room. Are we there? Are we asleep? Oh, Pastor Naka, you can be in the house 3 days with her. If you don't go looking for her, she won't come looking for her. When you ask her, she'll tell you, I know you're okay. So it's possible your husband should be a typical phleg. The way you say he's very quiet, I believe he should be a phleg.
All right.
But when the Holy Ghost comes in, they give. So tell your husband, and you to add prayer to it, that God must break your husband down to be able to start giving.
Maybe she also needs to minimize expenses.
Her spend.
For someone who spends a lot, any little
Hold back.
hold back will be considered as being stingy.
So it's possible you also shop a lot. You like to buy things. Everything you are buying in excess, tomatoes, you are buying in excess, salt. You want to buy salt like it will get finished in Ghana. So for you, your husband is very stingy, but you also, maybe you're a typical sanguine.
Yeah.
And you also love to spend. So watch it.
Well, somehow the finance minister's haircut is taking care of the sanguines for us. So husbands, don't worry. Just share the news items with them. They'll be controlled.
Thank God it hasn't affected the treasury bills.
Yes. Wow. And actually, individuals holding bonds, for now, let's trust the words and hope that...
Let's trust the words.
God will take care of you soon.
Amen.
Good evening, Mama Rita.
Good evening.
My name is Baba Kipos. My question, could someone's temperament change as a result of the environment they find themselves? For example, I am very outward. I love moving out a lot. But working as a house help doesn't allow me or afford me the opportunity to move anywhere. I find myself indoors a lot lately. Can this be a contributing factor to who I think I am? I am getting confused. So environments and where people find themselves change or influence their temperaments.
So as said from the beginning, that temperaments are inborn. I don't believe that temperaments can change. Like we keep saying, temperaments can be influenced. So, of course, where you work, the people around you, how you are handled, how you are permitted to express yourself and everything can influence. For instance, myself, I've been very quiet, the kind that will be indoors all the time. But because of where I find myself now, I have to be out there with people. Last Sunday, I was at church and I spoke from morning till I left at 3 p.m.
Wow.
And at a point, I was looking for someone to talk to because I had so much.
And this is very unlike you.
It's so unlike me. So at a point, I was asking myself, what do you have to say? But I needed someone to talk to. So it's possible that it can influence, but there will always be that point where who you really are cannot be hidden. You will always get to that point where, especially the moments where you are alone, if you are a typical sanguine and you have been, for lack of expression, suppressed, even if you are alone, you are tempted to talk to yourself, to talk to the mirror, and do talk on phone, yes, and do all sorts of things. So there will always be that point that your true self will come. Temperaments can never be changed. That's
so, my darling, your temperament, especially your primary temperament, can never be changed. But environments can influence, and I like the way you answered. The environment can influence who you are. For instance, with me, I've been a typical sanguine. In school, I made a lot of friends. There were always people around me. I used to talk. In primary school, they would always write DP by my name. Secondary school, the same thing. I would always be the one to speak on behalf of my class, always defend my class. But some way, somehow, I went through a very rough time with my friends, rough time with teachers. I felt my friends disappointed me. So some way, somehow, it affected and it influenced the way I make friends. I'm not too much the friendly, making a lot of friends like I used to be when I was a child. But you can see the underlining, you know. And then number two, my role or my position as a pastor's wife, as a premier lady, as a first lady, has cooled me and toned me down. But the people who know me very well know that I'm a typical sanguine. You can see it when I work, when I do counseling. I enjoy my counseling. It doesn't matter what time I close, I enjoy it. My children tell me, and my husband tells me, I spend too much time on phone. I'm naturally not a phone person. But my job has to do with phone, and I enjoy it when people are talking to me.
Yeah.
So I sort of encourage them. By the time I realize, I spend 45 minutes, 1 hour, 1.5 hours on phone. Whereas my husband would, within 5 minutes, okay, bye-bye, you know, and I'm wondering, how can you cut people off like that?
I remember last year, I think it was around 30th December, we called Mommy, and Mommy said, I'm so tired, so make it quick. By the time the call ended, there was 1 hour, 45 minutes.
That was a quick one.
So, my darling, what we are saying is that your temperament can never change.
Yeah.
But then your environment can influence your temperament. You find yourself, for instance, you lived with aunties, you lived with step-parents, you lived in different, you're typical, somebody said, when she was a child, she used to talk a lot, but some way, somehow. So I began to probe into who she lived with. So I realized that she lived with so many aunties.
Yeah.
You want to stay in your corner so you don't go and, but you realize that this is the way she is. So your temperament hasn't changed. Your temperament hasn't changed at all.
It's just suppressed.
It's just suppressed. You realize that on your own, when you come out of the house help, when now you are married with your children, you realize that you are your true self. So this is what we are talking about when it comes to temperaments.
Elder Nana Samoa from Obuasi says, Mama Rita, we are enjoying your program. I am here with my wife and we are learning a lot. Wow. Thank you, Elder Nana Asamoah.
Thank you, Elder Nana Asamoah.
Francis, Nigeria says, thanks, Ma, for your teachings. It's great and we're learning so much. Our next question. Good evening, Mama Rita.
Good evening.
My husband is the type who doesn't care about anything. Well, the next line is quite contradictory because he says he's very responsible. I'm confused, but let me continue. So, okay. But my problem is 2 years into the marriage, he has stopped wearing his ring. Unless he's stepping out for a program, and that even depends on who is going to be around. Though he told me he's not a fan of wearing rings before we got married, I thought he was going to change on this one. What should I do, please?
From the man's point.
Well, unfortunately, I won't speak for the man. Why? Because I'm someone who is a believer of wearing your band.
Okay.
Yeah, so anytime I see a friend, somebody around me who does not wear their band, I query them, not in a nice way. But I have had a lot of answers, and I don't want to hold brief for the man. But what I want to say is that temperament or not, people have reasons. And reasons could come out of, like Mommy said, ego for a man who feels that nobody can hold me down. So if wearing the band is very important to you and you are dealing with somebody who is the head or your boss, for lack of want of a better word, and you cannot influence that person, maybe you should find your security in something else aside he wearing the band, so that you don't fret over it. Because if then her first statement comes in, he doesn't care about anything. If that's how he is, then no matter how much you cry, he wouldn't see it as a problem. And he would want you to take your attention off that. So you may want to reconsider. And if he has also told you from the beginning, then you don't want to start fighting and making fuss over it. You have to, I think we have to learn how to make people grow out of things. And it will give you a lot of peace and rest. When you try to, this is how it must be. It's just from your temperament perspective. You know, if you allow people to be, you will enjoy them. So that's my first touch, I think.
Mama Marian, do you want to add
so what I initially wanted to say, I think he has said it, because the wearing of the band is a case in point, and we cannot use temperament or to define the whole situation. So like my husband said, if it's about the wearing of the band, there can be a way around it. Probably change your focus to something else that's in terms of your security. But if it's, well, in terms of temperament, there will be very little to say because, like I said, it's just a case in point. But
so, my darling, don't worry yourself about things that don't exist. Number one, the man told you he's not a ring person. So if he's going to certain places and he wears it, it's okay. But though I like all married people wearing their, marriage bands, I always ask myself, assuming the man is not wearing it because he wants to be naughty, he can leave the house wearing it.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
And then wherever he gets to, he will remove it.
Yeah.
So for me, don't make a big case out of nothing.
Yeah.
Yes, talk to him about it, that I genuinely like my husband wearing the ring all the time. Maybe he's not very comfortable with rings.
Yes.
I naturally am also not a ring person at all. I can buy jewelry, buy everything, no rings. So I would only wear my wedding rings, my engagement. You never see rings on my left. This is my right. Hey, this is my left. This is my right. You never see me wearing rings on my right. Yet you see other people like Amagri. You can see that she loves rings. Every time I see her, she's either wearing one ring on the right or two rings, sometimes three rings.
Yeah.
So people are very, very different.
Yeah.
Have a discussion with him after you've spoken 1, 2, and he doesn't listen, just leave him. If you'll be naughty, you'll be naughty. If you'll be good, you'll be good. I've seen people wear rings and they have 12 concubines in town. And I see people who don't wear rings and they are very, very responsible husbands. And you said he's careless. He doesn't care about anything.
Yes,
but
he's
responsible. Well,
could she mean careless in terms of disorganized?
No, sanguines don't care about anything.
Yeah.
Sanguines don't care about anything, but yet can be very responsible when it comes to their husbands, their wives, and their children. So if he's a typical sanguine, sanguines don't care about. They don't care about life itself. They live.
I would suggest she pays more attention to the real problem.
Yes.
Rather than connect it with other things. There's a real problem.
Yeah.
This may just be something that is making you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But if you look for the real problem, it will help you solve it
I like that.
as soon as possible.
I like that. And if we want to look at it in the temperament, you can see that it's a typical melancholy that worries about a lot of things. My darling, stop worrying. It might be nothing.
Stop worrying. This probably will be our last question.
Wow.
For today's.
Wow.
Good evening, Mama Rita.
Good evening.
Please, I am a melancholy. Little trace of the phleg. My partner is a choleric and has the little traits of the melancholy. We are living in different regions. I sometimes wouldn't hear from him in weeks. That's if I don't call or check up. He easily gets angry anytime I make suggestions. He feels I am being authoritative. He refuses to talk to me whenever there are things for us to discuss and decisions to be made. I always tell him I'm only making suggestions and not forcing opinions on him. This alone even puts him off. He easily gets angry whenever we have conversations. Mommy, please help me cope with my husband.
She said she is what?
Male phleg.
phleg.
Unfortunately. So the husband is a choleric, and then he's a male phleg.
Yes. Yes.
And the husband is a male.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's if she's sure of what she's saying.
Yeah.
But at least let's look at the clue, and then let's look at the male phleg. So,
For a melancholy, so I am typically melancholic.
Yeah.
So
that's why I wanted you to answer.
As I'm about to speak, I'm just thinking about how the person is going to take it, because we take words the way they come,
Yeah.
and we are going to chew on the words.
Yeah.
So I can feel how she's feeling. Her